What's up guys, it's your boy Limp Christmas and we are back again with another video from the depths of our stay-at-home lockdown here in Toronto, Canada. Did you guys catch that Jake Paul fight, by the way? I illegally streamed it and I still want my money back. Anyways, on to the video now. We got the Ice Bowazon build guide today. Great character, I'm having a ton of fun with it, been working on it for the past couple weeks. Super diverse, super adaptable, can do any area in the game, minus really heavy cold density maps. And we're just gonna jump right into it. So, as always guys, smash that like button, sub to the channel so this video ends up on every D2 fans homepage. Have a good one guys, cheers. What's up guys, here we have it. This is my Iceon in all its glory. This is a character I'm really stoked on. I've never made one before. They do exist in Diablo 2 vanilla, but they're just not as good. They don't do as much damage. The synergies aren't the same. So as usual, we're going to run through the skills, the gear, the Mercenary, where you can magic find and run this character. This character is a really great AoE character. You can get lots of splash damage from freezing arrow, but you can also get single target damage, which is a huge bonus, and for that this is one of my favorite characters. I've been really enjoying this character. It's something that's really brand new to me, so let's just jump right into it. So for starters, you're going to max out cold arrow, ice arrow, and freezing arrow. These are all synergies of each other. They all improve each other's damage, and they are all cold skills obviously. So with freezing arrow, this is going to be your main skill. This is going to be the one that freezes large groups. It's got high splash damage, great for AoE, cows, CS, stuff like that. As you can see, I do 4,500 damage pretty much. Your alternate skill is going to be Ice Arrow. This is the single target, high damage skill. This is for any stragglers or anything that gets away from those large groups that you're freezing. And lastly, for the cold skills, you're going to max out Cold Arrow strictly for the synergies. I personally don't use this. It's basically multi-shot, but cold arrows and not as many arrows. I just don't think it does enough damage to be viable when you compare it to Freezing Arrow and Ice Arrow. So for your left click, you're going to use Guided Arrow. This is strictly to break those cold immunes, or single target stragglers, because if you don't have any physical damage, you are screwed. All you need is 1 point, and for that matter I put 1 point into multi-shot as well, and I have currently I believe 7 points into magic arrow. This is a synergy of Ice Arrow, which is your single target damage skill, and it adds 20% cold damage per level, so it actually adds quite a bit. Obviously you're going to have nothing into Jav and Spear. This is where it gets a bit debatable. I don't know the exact hard base points that I have in each of these skills, but I have Critical Strike up to level 14, which gives me 62% chance to do double my damage. Next, I have 10 points into Pierce. It's kind of a rule across the community of everyone who plays Bowazons to have 100% Pierce, so this adds to what I already have, giving me 100% total. Pierce is really important, especially for this build, because when you freeze a pack, the arrow keeps going right through and freezes the following pack behind them, so it's really multi-purpose, and it makes killing things super efficient. I have pretty much equal points put into Evade and Dodge. So Evade gives passive movement speed increase, and as well as the chance to dodge attacks when you are running. So Dodge does the same thing as Evade, except for when you're standing still, and it also gives you passive, faster hit recovery, which I find really important. I'm really picky when it comes to hit recovery and run walk. I like to run fast, and I don't like being caught in groups. So these are really important to me. I have 1 point into Inner Sight and Slow Movement just so I can get Dodge. And this whole kind of passive tree is really up to you. There's no do or die way of doing things. It's just what you want to do, how you feel. But I do suggest having 100% Pierce, including your gear. Next, we're going to move on to the gear. This is going to be a lot of best in slot items. So to start off, we have Ice in a GMB. This is kind of debatable. A lot of people use matriarchal bows because they have a faster attack speed. They do quite a bit less damage. And the reason why I'm not using it is because this one was on the trade site for pretty cheap, so I picked it up. But also you need 187 dex to use a matriarchal bow. For cold zons, you don't need dex. That's just for physical zons. So realistically, I'd rather put a few more points into strength so I can use this GMB than like 30 extra points into dex so I can use the matriarchal bow. Not to mention I need 110 strength to use my gloves, so this really isn't a problem to me. This is really best in slot. There's no other option. You can use full Mav set. We'll talk about that a bit later, but it's not really comparable. Ice is just savagely better, and it's the most important item for this build. Cool features that Ice has: ignores target defense because it has Jaw Rune in it, which is why I don't have any points into Penetrate, because I don't need to reduce target defense since I surpass it with every shot. Big minus enemy cold res. Big plus cold skill damage. You got Deadly Strike in there, lots of gold fine, Holy Freeze, which adds a bit of cold damage to your base weapon, and it helps a bit with crowd control. Next up, I'm using a Chains of Honor and a Dust Shroud. I think this is best in slot. I don't think Fortitude's good for this build because it just adds enhanced damage, which is physical. So for the Ice Sun, you're going to be looking for skills, not enhanced damage. You get way more damage when you put points into those cold bow skills than you do from enhanced damage. Some other nice features, obviously tons of res. You don't get any res from this build. As most people know, Bowazons don't get res because they don't use a shield. And most of their items are primarily damage based. Some life stolen per hit, 20 strength, which helps. Physical damage reduced by 4%, and some magic find. Next up, we have Night Wings. This is also best in slot, no other option. $2 skills. I threw a Cold Fast in there at 4/4, I believe, just because I had one laying around. So -9 enemy cold res, and another +18 cold res. So this with ice gives you like -40 and +40 for cold, which is insane. 17 dex, which helps you reach that 152. Cold Zorb, half freeze duration. It doesn't matter because I have Cannot Be Frozen anyways. I use Crescent Moon for 2 cold skills. I have a nice fast run walk corrupt with this. Gives 10 IAS, mana and life leech, and 45 mana. I think it's best in slot just because it gives skills, IAS. Mine gives faster run walk, and it gives dual leech. You could use Mara's maybe if you just want more res, but I think increased attack speed and dual leech is way more important. Next we have Treads of Cthon. I wasn't really sure what to use, but I remember these have Pierce, and luckily I found a really good deal on a perfect pair. Well, 20 Pierce, perfect. They have 18 Magic Find Corrupt on them. There's some life, bit of defense versus missile, and faster run walk, which is huge. So the Pierce really helps because I don't really get it from any other items since I'm a cold zone and not a physical zone. There may be better options, but I think these are best in slot. Next we have a really nice rare ring. Attack rating, 8 life leech, 17 strength, which is huge, and triple res. It also has 10 FCR on it, which doesn't really matter for this build, but I can also use this for maybe a Sork for the FCR strength and res, or any kind of caster build like that. Next we have Nosferatu's. I think this is best in slot for any melee build. We got 20 IAS. I corrupted it for 10 FCR, which is really useless on this build, but maybe someone will want it for like, I don't know, a trap assassin that wants to telly faster if they have Enigma. I don't know. Life leech, deadly strike, slows target, 14 strength, and 2 mana after each kill. So this build really bleeds mana a lot. I do end up using mana pots even though I have mana leech and mana after kill, but it is nice to help reduce that. Next we have Ravenfrost, kind of essential for any melee build. AR, 5 strength corrupt, which is helpful. 17 dex, 40 mana, cold zorb, and most importantly Cannot Be Frozen. There's nothing worse than being frozen as a melee character, especially a ranged Bowazon. And now onto my favorite part of the build are these very nice 320, 10 pierce corrupted bow gloves. For me, these are best in slot. Like I said, you need those skill points rather than something like Crushing Blow or ED. The 20 IAS is essential, and the 10% chance to pierce just makes these gloves absolutely godly in my opinion. I was using these Drax prior just because 20 IAS, life leech, strength, life after kill, and they had a really nice 15 chance to pierce. But once I got these, it was no question. So we're also rocking a Zon torch. I just picked one up. I don't really care. A torch is a torch in my opinion, unless you're going for perfect. Another random Annie, mid-roll, 36 Geeds, just for a little bit of magic find, because you don't really get it anywhere. And then a full stash of bow GCs. You got some nice lifers. And then 3 faster hit recovery, because I'm really strict with my breakpoints. And then just an assortment of run walk, res, magic find, run walk, res, magic find. That's a nice charm. Hit recovery. So as we see, I perfectly hit the 52 hit recovery breakpoint, and the FCR doesn't matter obviously. We're also rocking 34 life leech and 7 mana leech. We have 93 magic find, 381 gold find, and most importantly, let's take a look at this. So we have plus 46% cold damage and minus 29% enemy cold resistance. So these two together is really what separates you in comparison to wearing full mavs. Unless you were to put cold facets in all of your mav gear, but then at that point you're pretty much spending as much as what this would cost. We don't have anything on the offhand because CTA is kind of pointless nowadays, especially on a character like this who doesn't have a ton of all skills. Like I'd only get 2, 4, 5, so anywhere from 6 to 11 bow, not really worth it. As you can see, I have 1700 life, so I'm not really concerned at survivability whatsoever. So as you can see, Freezing Arrow does 4.8k damage, and Ice Arrow does 16k damage, which is very nice. We have just enough strength to use all my gear. I accidentally added 1 because I'm an idiot, but just enough dexterity to use all our gear, and then everything else into vitality, which is why we have 1700. It's really nice not being a glass cannon. I'm still vulnerable, but physical Zons have like 1,000 health, so this is a very nice change of pace. Our resistances are definitely struggling: 39, 61, 34, 18. I don't need to worry about getting damaged if I don't get hit, which I rarely do, so that's pretty much all the details about the skills and stats, guys. Let's take a look at the Mercenary. So there's a couple things I didn't really touch on for Mercenaries in the video. I've heard of Icons using Act 2 Infinity Mercenaries just for that lower cold res from the Infinity aura. I personally don't like this. I think Infinity's been nerfed to the ground with PD2. It's still not a bad option, but I think for the price and how much you don't really need it, it doesn't really add up. Another option is an Act 5 Mercenary. For this, you would need a Beast Rune Word, just so you get that increased attack speed boost, and their Might Aura helps as well for your physical damage. I personally went with an Act 1 Merc, and we touch on it more in the video, but basically having Fanaticism from Faith and Vigor as its natural aura, I think that's by far the best combination because you run and attack way faster with it. If you disagree, let me know in the comments why. Now back to the video. So you're going to go with the Act 1 Mercenary. This is specifically because you can put a Faith Bow on her. This is going to help with your increased attack speed, somewhere between 20 to 30%. I don't know what level 13 Fanaticism does, but it's around there somewhere. I threw on IK boots for faster run, walk, and life, and then for the first time I actually gave her full map set, minus the bow of course, but it's actually very nice for the Act 1 Merc. So she gets strength, dex, cannot be frozen, some nice strength and dex bonuses under that, run, walk, all res, tons of defense, hit recovery and run walk, increased attack speed. I threw 2 rubies in here just for some more life, more resistances, attack rating. So it's very nice for the Mercenary. None of this stuff is really corrupted nicely either, so you can imagine how nice you could make it. Like I was saying earlier, you could throw a ton of cold facets in these and wear mavs yourself. It's just going to end up being pretty expensive with like 3, 6, 11 cold facets. So yeah, I'm going to stick with my build, but you could definitely try something wacky with cold facets and full mavs. Okay guys, so we're going to test her in action now. You're going to see how she works, how she plays. We're going to throw some map footage up on the screen. So for maps, I really only run Ancestral Trial. They're my favorite, as well as Blood Moon and Runes of Vision. There's a lot of cold immunes on the other maps. They're doable, but with these, it's just a lot easier. So next we're going to run into the Secret Cow level. This is a great area for any build because only the elites have immunities, so really any character can shine in here. And let's give it a shot. So you can use Freezing Arrow, freeze them in groups, just goes right through, huge damage. Switch to Ice Arrow, single target. Crazy. Crazy damage, and it's so easy. So as you can see, if there's any stragglers, just boom, hit them with the Ice Arrow. And then back to freezing. Goes right through them into the next group. What I like about using the Act 1 Merc with Faith is that obviously you get a ton of IIS, but you also get Vigor, which makes you run a shit ton faster. And there's nothing I hate more than slow characters. Just freezes the whole group, goes right through into the group behind them. Super fast and efficient for cows. Maybe one of the fastest cowing characters. I don't like to run cows primarily just because they have a level 81 cap. Well, it's level 84 for the elites, but for maps, the standard monsters are level 85, so you can drop anything in the game, including the elites. Whereas cows, you're really only looking for high runes and maybe like items like Shaco, maximum, stuff like that. You're not going to find those godly items just because they're not actually capable of dropping in here. That's basically the cow level, guys. Super easy, straightforward, you get it. Go run some CS now and show you how viable this character really is. So stuck on Cold Moons, 3 arrows, and I don't even have much physical damage. I love this character, man. This Zon is sweet. Just a couple guided arrows. Good thing about Pierce is it goes through them, comes right back, hits them twice. Just melting all these champions. There's one with stone skin and we still absolutely melted him, right? So single target cold immunities are no problem for this character whatsoever. In addition to all that, you have my mercenaries casting fire arrows, which helps for those cold immunes as well. Switch to the single target. Clear him out. Take a Lord to Seis. Okay, we're gonna do Diablo now, which is a great single target example. Not the fastest at single target, but as you can tell, 15k damage on the ice arrow. It's super fast, so you can evade all those attacks by Diablo. So that pretty much wraps it up, guys. You saw her skills, her gear, her in action, maps, cows, CS, all the places you're going to be magic finding. And I've been having a blast with this character. Zons are so efficient, they run so fast, they attack so fast. Whether you're physical or cold, you can pretty much do anything in the game. Let me know what you think of this character. Super niche build. I mean, Ice is pretty much a one-trick pony. Let me know if you're going to try it out yourself. And as always, guys, smash that like button, sub to the channel. Cheers.